Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on PoliWine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. So, let's have a nice little deep sigh of relief for the Gulf Coast. They were kind of keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Sarah. They really weren't sure what path she may take once she's already cleared landfall in the Yucatan. Good news, she has been downgraded to a tropical depression. So, Gulf Coast, you can have a nice sigh of relief, and you definitely need it. You've had an extremely active storm season. I'm sure good news is nice, especially right before the holidays. So, thank goodness, right? We were kind of keeping an eye on that one, but it definitely did some damage in the Yucatan. It just cleared through Belize. Not quite the punch that they were expecting here in the U.S., thank goodness, but it definitely did some damage in her path. So thank goodness Sarah is not an issue now, so thank goodness. Now let's go over to politics. Well, you would think that the Republican Party would be taking this time to do their victory lap with a huge landslide victory. Huge. Some people are still taking a little time to take it all in, but here we are. And he's now taking his, making his picks, right, for his cabinet, and not without controversy. That's for sure. His picks for HSS, DOD, Attorney General. Well, the Republican Party is already fighting back, pushing back a little bit, saying that they are not going to push through the nominee, and it will be a fight. So that's what they're saying now before the battle has started. So let's see where that goes. But like I said, you would think that they would be taking this time to come together and enjoy their victory. Well, it's already fighting. So you think Mitch McConnell is sitting back going, I'm so happy I'm leaving now. I just don't think I could do this anymore. And I got to tell you, not a Mitch McConnell fan, but he's sitting there going, whew, right now, like this, it's getting ugly and I'm out of here. So, I hope everything is calm for the inauguration. That's right around the corner. I just hope everything is calm. It was peaceful election night in the city. That's great. That's what everybody wanted and hoped for. And that's what happened. So let's hope the same for inauguration day, and hopefully it should be fine. You guys got what you wanted, you won. So enjoy and celebrate, and let's get to work, okay? Now, let's move a little bit over to the sports world, okay? I don't know if you had an opportunity to go to Netflix on Friday night and watch the big fight night between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. And there were a couple fights that evening. You had two, you had like a lightweight, you had is it welterweight? Okay, I'm just going to explain to everybody right there, full disclaimer, I know nothing about boxing, nothing, but every now and again, I will tune in briefly for a large fight, a really big name, big showcase fight for sure. And I always have in the past with Mike Tyson's. I mean, that man can bring in the numbers. And when that man fights, it is worth seeing. But highlights, low moments. So let's get into it. Now, like I said, I know nothing about boxing, so I'm just going to stick with that. And I just want so if anybody wants to reach out to me on Instagram, direct me, inform me of boxing and some of the things that happen. Please do. Please feel free. I'm interested. I want to learn. And I don't think I probably would have watched as much fighting that night if, like I said, my son actually kind of dabbled a little bit in the boxing world and did a little Muay Thai, some mixed kind of boxing. And it was awesome. I have a hard time watching it as a mom, it's a lot for me to take. Like I said, I don't think I could ever watch MMA. That one's too tough for me. But I do like to watch a little bit of boxing. So I definitely tuned in. Now, like I said, there was a lightweight and a welterweight. Is that right? I don't know what that means. I'm guessing it's all weight. I don't know the classifications of that, but from what I understand, I do apologize. I was not able to watch the first two fights, but I heard the second fight was really good. Very, very good. The guy with the pink shorts, and forgive me not knowing the names, but I really, really, really want to get into the showcase event. And that was the women's lightweight boxing match. That was so good. I actually came in during halfway point of that match with the women. It was Serrano from Puerto Rico, and then you had Katie Taylor of Ireland. These two women, my God, they were not only just extraordinary athletes. Wow. The heart, soul, grit, grind, and just the mental fortitude to get them through that fight was just epic. It really it was. It was just something to see, to witness. It really was. I mean, they some of the best athletes I think I've ever seen. And like I said, I know nothing about boxing. Nothing. But I came in in round 5, the 5th round. And I mean, it was just intense. Those two women in that ring reminded me of that old kid game when we were growing up. What was it we had the two plastic men in the ring, and one was blue, one was red, and they were just going at it, punching it, punching it, punching it. It was kind of like Rock'em Sock'em or something like that. That's what it looked like. Those women, the training that they had to go through just to, and the endurance it just blows my mind. 10 rounds. Was it 3 minutes each round? My God, I don't know how you can just the cardio bit of it, and then take the blows and punch the blows, the power that you have to throw behind each punch, just the stamina to constantly be moving on your feet. I mean, I was exhausted watching them. It was just nonstop punches blown, punch after punch after punch. I didn't even see it all happening. Like, I had to pause it and just little slow-mo, rewind, because first of all, the announcers, the commentators, you had Rosie Perez, was it Ray Jones Jr., and who's a former boxer, and a Canadian sports announcer, was his name Mario, oh my gosh, please forgive me, Ronaldo. He was so good. He was so good, so energetic. There were so many blows being thrown between these two women. I couldn't even see it. Now, there was a little bit of controversy happening between the fight. Did you see the headbutt that made that large gash over her eye? And she's just bleeding all over the place. Still continued. Still put out a stellar performance. And that was what, halfway through the match, and she still carried on. I can't imagine how painful that gash was right on that orbital bone right there. It had to be throbbing and burning, and just to continue to take punch after punch in the face. Right in that wound. And she was going right after that wound. Oh my God. And the ref, there was a little bit of controversy. First of all, there was a headbutt, and Katie Taylor, the Irish lady, deducted a point. Okay. So there was that. So there's total headbutt. And there was a lot, some people saying they thought they saw other headbutts that wasn't called out. I don't know. I barely saw the first headbutt. And there were so many punches. The commentator, Mario, he was just saying, this is the greatest match I've ever seen. His phrase that he used at the end was a symphony of violence. And I agree. I think he said that in one round, there was over 100 some punches thrown, and 80 some, I don't know the exact number, that landed. Oh my God. I mean, that is rapid fire right there of punches. It was unbelievable. It was left, it was right, it was intense. I couldn't turn away, and I don't even like boxing. And I have to tell you, I could not stop watching. I don't think I blinked for those last 5 rounds. I was in awe of these two female athletes that were just phenomenal athletes. I did not know who they were beforehand. I definitely know who they are now, and I promise you I will watch them again. It was so good. The crowd in that stadium was just going nuts. And I mean, like, it was so good. There were so many shots thrown, so many that they were tallying up. I mean, it was so close to call at the end. Like, it was really too close to call at the end. Like, who knew who won? Because there was just so much happening. The referee, like, some say that they didn't feel that the ref made enough calls, especially some of the dirtier shots with the head bunting. I thought, and again, I could be wrong. I do not know anything about boxing, but I mean, that guy was like 2 feet away from those 2 female athletes the entire time. The man had blood splatter on his face. He had it on his shirt. It was everywhere. He was so zoned in. I don't think he blinked the entire match. He was so zoned in. I thought he did a really good job myself. But if I missed something, maybe I'm wrong. It was just great. I didn't know much about them before, like I said, but those 2 women did such an incredible service to their sport of boxing. I hope everyone is talking about it this weekend. I hope that everybody's talking about it around the water cooler and around the office meeting tables on Monday morning. It was so, so good. And then at the end of the fight, you know, they were trying to tally up the scores, who was going to win. Many thought that it was going to go to Serrano of Puerto Rico. I really did. Like I said, I missed the first round of the first 5 rounds. But then they called it for the Irish girl, Katie Taylor, and the crowd went nuts. They were booing. I mean, there was a huge majority of booing in the audience. And even the guy that when she was doing her victory speech, and by the way, announcers, I know there's not time is an issue, but please let the athlete catch their breath before you want to interview them. I just think that's so unfair, right? Just let them have a swig of water, you know, wet in the whistle a little bit, you know, their mouth's dry, let them catch their breath, and then ask them a few questions, but give them. But even Katie Taylor of Ireland's like, I don't care what the audience thinks. I understand that they're upset. It may not be the result that they wanted, but the judges have spoken and I won again. Because I did not know, and the announcer kept talking about this, that those 2 women, Serrano and Taylor, fought 2 years ago. I did not know that. I actually had to go back and look it up and read about it because I was so fascinated. This is how interested I am in these women now. Just incredible athletes, just incredible. And 2 years ago, pardon me, they met up. They fought. They had a match. And when that fight happened, they said it was, from what I was reading in the, you know, that we came up 2 years ago about it, that fight at that time was considered one of the best female boxing matches in history. And then to have it 2 years later for them to meet up again at this huge Netflix event, that this one that Netflix had on Friday night was better than the last. And it was difficult to top that one, but this match Friday night did. And this one was considered the greatest match in female boxing history. And I would agree with that statement. It was so good. It was so good. I was entranced. I was painfully entranced, but I loved it. Like I said, I was watching like this, but I could not stop watching. And then when they announced that she won, like I said, there was booing, and it looked like the Serrano was kind of holding back tears. I cannot imagine having to go through a fight like that and then lose. But you did not lose in the world of sports. You brought so much attention to your sport of boxing. So even though you may have lost that match, you did not lose the game. You didn't lose the battle. That's for sure. Just incredible. I had to take some time and go and talk about that match because it was so good. And I don't know. Look, it was by DraftKings was one of the major sponsor, if not like the head sponsor. I don't know. I didn't know that about gambling either. I don't know what the odds were. I don't know how huge the women's match was in the world of gambling, but I hope they banked and I hope those women made their money. They earned every penny. That was the showstopper of the evening. Now, after that, how do you go from that massive high then down to the Tyson Jake Paul fight? Now, everyone holds hope that when you have an athlete that is considered the greatest, the GOAT, and they come out of retirement to do something, you hold out hope that they're still in that condition where you last remember them, right? Well, how long has Tyson been in retirement? I thought they said he has been in retirement about 20 years, right? And there was an interesting fact that the announcer threw out that, and was it 93? 93. Jake Paul was just a couple years old when Mike Tyson went professional. So that's an interesting little fact there. So that's kind of explain the age gap there. So he was barely, I think he was like 6 or 7 when Mike Tyson hit professional. So, I mean, he was like barely out of trainers when Mike was already a professional boxer. So, I mean, Mike was one of the greatest of all time. And I got a little nervous when I saw Mike come out. And I'll get into it. Now, first of all, Jake Paul comes out. There's a lot of hype. What did they say? What did I read here a while back? I think Jake Paul was set to make about 40 million on this fight, and I think Tyson was supposed to make 20. I read. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think that's what I read a while back, that's what they were set to make. Which, why are they not making both the same? And isn't Mike Tyson taking the greater risk? I mean, he's a man of a particular age. And sometimes in the world of boxing, one hit is all it takes to do significant damage. And he's taking the greater risk for sure. Now, but Jake Paul, Mike Tyson still has that right hook. So there's a risk on your end. But I mean, there is a significant risk for Mike Tyson. So I would think that why is he not getting the same amount? I don't know what happened in that negotiation, but Mike Tyson, seriously, you should have equally been paid. But Jake Paul comes out and some car, and that was ridiculous. First of all, everybody was in it. I'm glad, of course, his brother Logan Paul was in there, but that car was moving so slow that people that were like walking in the audience could have like walked to the bathroom and walked back and still made it to the ring before Jake Paul and that car did. It was moving at such a snail pace. I was like, this is not going to go well, because there's just too much showboating already. And then he gets out and he's in this, look, boxers are known for their style in the ring and their shorts and all that stuff. You bring the flair, you bring the glitter, you bring it. I want to remember you. His outfit was $1 million. $1 million and with these diamonds on the shorts, and that was just crazy. And I don't know how you can bounce around with all those beads and things. The one guy in the second fight with the pink shorts on, there was a lot of stuff hanging off that. Very nice shorts. But I'm just like, isn't that a lot of extra weight? Like, you need to be light on your feet. Doesn't that slow you down a little bit and a little drag? I don't know. I mean, resistance for weight. I say drag, as somebody who was in swimming, because drag slows you down. Hair and weight, that slows you down. That's it. That just seems like that would, be a little bit much. What do I know? And then you have good old classic Mike Tyson. He just walks straight out. No fanfare, nothing too crazy, no props, none of that. But the look in Mike Tyson's eyes, when he was walking down that catwalk into the ring, it was a very different Mike than I've ever seen. And I turned to my son and I said, because he's like, please don't let me, if I fall asleep, wake me up when it starts. And it was late. They didn't start singing the national anthem until a few minutes before midnight. So it was late. And the look in Mike Tyson's eyes when he was walking down, I said to my son, I'm like, do you think that's a different look than I've ever seen on Mike Tyson? Either that's fear or that's an extreme focus that looks different than what I've seen from Mike Tyson before. It looks very very different. I mean, Mike's always focused in the ring, but it looks different. And I said, I don't know, this looks like fear. Maybe there should be fear. Like, I mean, he's had some injuries, he's had some health issues, he's 58, and he's been in retirement, but I think they said 20 years. I mean, that's heavy on the mind. Am I going to be able to make it all 8 rounds? And they did, condense it down from 10 rounds to 8 rounds. I think they said it was 3-minute rounds to 2-minute rounds wise. And so there we are. They go off, they announce the ref, and ding ding, it's on. Now, Jake Paul had always said, leading up to it in every interview, his, plan of action going in was Mike Tyson is fast and furious. He throws heavy, hard punches, but he's very fast on his feet. And my strategy is to let him tire himself out so then I can go in when I need. And that's exactly what happened. And I have to say, the first boom, after that bell went off and Mike Tyson went in, he went in fast. And that first right hook that he threw, I was like, Mike! Like, Mike still got it. Like, that right hook looks deadly. And I even said, like, Mike, Jake Paul, you better watch out because it just takes one of those Tyson right hooks to go down. That's all it takes. And there is a significant size difference between the two of them. I mean, Jake Paul's huge. Anyway, I don't know how tall he is, but he just looks like a huge guy, and he's really been training. He's massive. And Mike Tyson is massive. There's a height difference, no question. But I mean, let me tell you, Mike, you look incredible for 58. You are ripped, and you are incredible shape. Absolutely incredible shape. But the first round, Mike comes out heavy, fast, strong. And I think he may have landed like a good punch in that first round, but it wasn't right away. But I was like, okay, all right, Mike's got something there. And then you see the legs, right? He's moving around, and you see that right leg, that right knee's wrapped, and it's slightly braced, and you're like, okay, ooh. And it looks a little shaky. And then the more he starts moving around, the shakier it gets, the more tired, the more fatigue sets in, and the punches aren't as heavy and aren't as rapid, right? So Jake Paul's coming in, he's landing some. Now Tyson's still landing plenty, but I would say, I think I recall about the 3rd round, I said to myself, I'm like, oh, this is hard to watch. Mike Tyson looked really tired. He looked really shaky leg. He had already taken a few good punches, and it affected him. The one that he took right across the face, like that one, it looked like it almost freaked him out a little bit. And again, Mike is a particular age, and he's boxed for many years. I cannot imagine how many concussions that man's had in his career. I do not know, but I can't even imagine. And he's probably had more than he's even realized that he's had over the years. So any blow to the head is a major concern. But that looked like it kind of freaked him out a bit, didn't it? Did it not? I thought it did. And it just really turned. And I think that Jake Paul honestly recognized the struggle that Tyson was having. And I think he could have gone in a lot heavier. He could have landed a lot bigger and heavier blows. I think he landed some. I think he's a professional. He definitely had to do his job. He showed up for a job. He was there to do his job. He still has to keep his cred. And he did. He landed some good blows. He had some good moves. But he recognized that Mike Tyson was struggling. I think he recognized that Mike Tyson was really struggling at the end. I mean, that last round when it looked like he was struggling to get off that stool. And the commentator even said so. He was saying, still on the stool. And I mean, it was so hard to watch. And Mike, I hope you get more than just the $20 million because you really, like I said, you really put yourself at risk. But I really hate seeing some of these people come out of the retirement and do something, and then it's like a fall from grace. There is no contesting that Mike Tyson is one of the greatest, if not the, that's a personal opinion. I don't know the stats because I don't know nothing about boxing, but one of the greatest of all time in the boxing world. Iron Mike. Jake Paul, of course, who won this Netflix special, no question. No question. Landed a lot more threw a lot more punches. I think landed more hits. There was mutual respect there at the end. Within the last minutes, he stops. Jake Paul stops boxing, stops throws a punch. He actually bows down. Takes a bow for a sign of respect to Mike Tyson, to the legend, which I thought was nice. He was still showboating a little bit, sticking his tongue out and all that stuff. Look, that man, Jake Paul, knows how to sell himself. You cannot deny that. He knows how to sell himself, market himself, and he was doing that. And the numbers were there. They said there were 72,000 people in that stadium. 72,000 people were in that stadium. And I have no idea what the numbers are on how many viewers, but the numbers seem to be there. I'm sure they made their numbers. There were some technical issues. I was reading about that the following day. I had some lag time and some buffering issues where I live. But then again, I don't have the best Wi-Fi most of the time. But there was a lot of complaints about that. Some of the complaints are about a miscommunication for the announcers. Netflix has had some troubles in the past with some of their live events. I know that the golf thing that they had was early summer, that had some big issues. Kind of cool, but still, there were major hiccups. So look, Netflix is just getting into the sports world, doing a lot of these live events. It's not easy, and you're going to have some bumps and kinks along the way, and they're going to work them out, and eventually they'll have some smooth sailing. But it was a good event. Like I said, Jake Paul won. Mike Tyson says he wants to do another one. No, Mike, sit down, Mike. Take a seat. Take a seat. Stay in the corner stool. Take a seat. Enjoy your money. No. It was great seeing you, Mike. You still look professional. The chewing of his glove freaked me a little bit. I know. And then the announcer, and Rosie Perez, you did great. You really would great. Jones Jr., you guys were all, I think they all did a really good job. I love Mario, the Canadian announcer. He was so good. But they kept talking about it too. They're like, I don't like that. I don't like seeing his legs. His legs look shaky. I don't like that. Look at him chewing that. When you see him chewing that, and the announcer, Canadian announcer, like I said, he was like, look, I've reviewed a lot of his fights. That's something he does. And when I later went back and was reading, I guess he does for his mouth guard. But it looked, we all know Mike Tyson's past, and I did see the Evander Holyfield fight back in the day. You go into that mental zone, right? When you are an athlete. And I was concerned that he was going to that mental place, where you're so focused and so driven. And I didn't want another biting situation to happen. So when he was really gnawing on his gloves, I was like, oh, Mike, calm down, Mike. Focus on the arms. But nothing happened. Everything ended well. Do not go for another fight. We all don't need to see it. But Netflix, if you do not have a match between those two women again, Taylor and Serrano, I'm telling you, I will watch. I will have a viewing party that night. It was a great match, and I am sure that match would bring the numbers in. Those two women, wow, I cannot stop talking about it. It's it's interesting when you see something for the first time, like it just totally blows your mind. And I've said it before, women sometimes in the world of sports, you have to work so much harder to get half as far. And these two women, I cannot imagine the work that they have to put on, but you put your names out there in the forefront. You are huge. I mean, you were already huge in the world of boxing anyway, but those like myself who did not know you now, and we will be watching you in the future because you were impressive. And so now Netflix is going to have coming out. Netflix is going to have WWE. They're going to be having a football around the holidays. So the streaming services are taking over in the sports. I don't really know I don't have cable anymore. I don't watch cable. So I don't know what still sports wise is on cable, but it is sometimes tough to know where you're watching it. So it was nice to have it in one place back in the day. But the streaming services are taking over, and the money's there, and they're getting the shows and Netflix, Hulu, Prime, Peacock. I mean, that's where the sports seems to be at this day. And wow, let's get it. Let's get going. This holidays are here, and so the sports. So streaming services. Speaking of streaming services, last week Peacock released the show The Jackal, based on the novel. Have you seen it? Did you watch it? They released, I think, 5 episodes, and from here on out, a new episode will be released every Thursday. And I watched a few episodes, and Eddie Redmayne is the main character. He is the jackal. He is the assassin. And what a great job he has done. First of all, he's already an acclaimed, very accomplished actor. He's pretty diverse. He can do anything. I mean, we've seen him in pretty much every single role, and he's just so talented. And he really is. I feel like just a natural fit for the role. He plays elusive, quiet, intelligent, sneaky, excellent. I thought it reminded, and I kept thinking when I was watching, I'm like, oh my God, that's right. He was in way back in the day, earlier in his career. He was also in the great spy thriller with Matt Damon, I think, and Angelina Jolie. It was Angelina Jolie, right? I think so. The Good Shepherd. And he was Matt Damon's son. And he ended up kind of dabbling in the espionage world. And so, he's kind of already had a little bit in that, his toe in the water in those kind of spy kind of movies, but this is more assassin. And it was really good. All the characters do. The girl for MI5, or was it MI5 or MI6? For the English intelligence, she's really good. The lady who plays the wife, good cast, very good cast. A lot of high action. It's really good. It's, kind of very James Bond. One second they're in Sweden, one second they're in Germany, then they're in Hungary. I mean, they're all over Europe. So it's great. It's never a dull moment. It's constantly, it's definitely very action packed. So enjoy. It's worth watching if you have some time around the holidays. After you have your Thanksgiving dinner and you're feeling really full and you don't want to watch football, go over to Peacock, go watch The Jackal. Or you can go back and go over to Netflix and watch sports or review the Jake Paul fight, whatever you want. Go watch the women's fight. That's really good. Now, that's Peacock. And of course, you can always go back to Peacock and always catch up on all the. They have some really good shows right now. The Traitors is going to be coming back on, I think, shortly. So Peacock's really pumping out some stuff leading up to the holidays, and thank God. And of course, you can always go back and recap all your Bravo shows that we love to talk about here on PoliWine. We do. So let's talk about it. Now, this past week, I'm going to jump ahead to a few things, and then we can come back and get to Salt Lake City, because some say it was supersized. I think it's a little bit more than supersized. It was kind of like Vesuvius size. That thing was monstrously huge. I mean, it was jam-packed. I mean, you were Palm Springs, thermal, fighting, dinner party. The dinner party was beautiful, all that stuff. So let's go, Bravo. So let's go over to OC. Now, let's backtrack a bit. New York, I'm sorry. I keep trying to watch you, and I struggle. I end up flipping. And it's really hard for me. I am a fan of the old one now. I know towards the end of the old Roni seasons, it was a little toxic, a little turbulent, little tense. Especially, I know from what I have read, things got a little hairy with Ramona towards the end. Now, that's what I have read. Do I know that for sure? I do not. But to just switch it up and cut everybody out seems so wrong. How do you not keep the Countess and Lady Morgan? I don't, because in my opinion, I am not feeling this new cast of Roni at all. I think they should have kept a few, brought in someone else, or scrap it all together. I think, and if I may, bravo, Peacock, if you are listening, because you were already geniuses when it came to having Luann and Sonia on Crappy Lake, I think you need to give them a dating show. Because who needs Sex in the City when you have the Countess and Lady Morgan? And just a little note, the last episode I was talking about the girl, the new girl Stacy on the Real Housewives of Potomac, and how she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and her boyfriend TJ behind the bar, and that that mesh shirt. A little bit try hard, but I couldn't remember who she was on the show with, and she was on the show with Luann, the Countess, which made it so comical because here Stacy is talking about how they've been dating for a while and they haven't had sex, and then you have Andy sitting there kind of plucking Luann about the no sex stuff, and Luann is always ready. She is always on. So it was just so funny. And I love the Countess. So anyway, getting back, Bravo, you need to give, or Peacock, you need to give those two, the Countess and Luann, a dating show. And like I said, who needs Sex in the City when you have the Countess in the city? So now, Orange County, we had part 2 of the reunion. They're still going after Jen, still going after oh my God, Shannon, right? Katie was getting her hit this one. Heather, when you have good moments in the season, you fell a little short this past reunion episode. You just, in my opinion, I don't think you came off very likable, very empathetic at all. At all. But there you go. Tamra, not doing it. Again, Emily, as much as I want to like you, Emily, sometimes it's tough to watch you too. But we need to move this along. I don't think we need a part 3, but you're going to get a part 3. But let Jen have her happiness. I hope Katie comes back. I guess it's really up in the air at this point with Emily and Gina. Shannon, Alexis. God, Alexis, you looked so bad in this episode. So can we please get rid of Alexis? She's had a few moments on a few other spinoffs of Bravo. She came back on an episode of Below Deck, which was super gross, with this guy she was dating. Yuck, yuck, yuck. She wanted so much attention, and it did not look good. She's trying on this season of Orange County to come back. Again, wasn't a complimentary season for her, and it backfired huge with her and Johnny J. Okay, so I'm over it. I want to mix up. I need something good. Katie was a good little mix. I need something more if you're going to keep me engaged with OC. Now, the good exciting thing is that as OC is going off and we have New York moving further in the season, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is coming back this week. So, November the 19th, Tuesday nights, Beverly Hills is back, baby. It's back. And so, it's quite the cast. Always a lot to talk about. Things are happening. Kyle's divorce, with the whole thing with Erica Girardi. I'm here. I am here, and perfect timing right around the holidays where some people get sick of the Christmas movies. I can do like 1 or 2. That's it. And then I'm done. I like to see the streaming services, the shows, the channels, whatever, releasing new shows. We need it. New stuff. We need it. Some of us don't want to watch the Christmas movies. Some of us just get sick of, we don't want to watch sports and we get sick of it on every channel. Thank you for putting out the new stuff. So Beverly Hills coming out this week. Get ready for it. Now, let's move over to Salt Lake City. Like I said, many said it was supersized. It was bigger than supersized. It was a lot. It was a lot. Now, we pick up right where we left off that, Todd went up to John Barlow saying if you don't get Lisa kind of essentially under control, you got to go. You got to leave. All right. So who wants to leave that fabulous place? And Lisa Lisa got a taste of some good stuff there with the private plane that, oh my God, that rental where they say just, God, incredible, just stunning with the horse pastures and oh God, just beautiful, beautiful. I would want to leave that too. I'd clean myself up and chop up real fast too if I got that ultimatum. So Lisa tries to, calm down, make peace, thank goodness. And then now we're going to move over to the dinner party. Were they at thermal first and then the dinner party? But then let's just go to the racetrack because we skim over that. Then they go over to thermal, right? They have the dinner party happened first. Let's work our way to the dinner party. So after they had this whole altercation, they have lunch, and then they need to get ready for Todd and Bronwyn's anniversary party. And the anniversary party was beautiful. You had the mariachi band. The table decor was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. They had the lights, they had the action, just everything was on point. Beautifully done. Gorgeous party. Whoever she hired to throw that, or if that was the crew at the house, just stunning. Gorgeous party. Everything was going well. Everybody was enjoying it. And then Angie K, we all love our Angie K, brings out the whiteboards with the dry erase markers and is like, well, let's play a game, right? First question, for the couples. And Andrew, there were still other guests at the party at the end of the table that were not partaking in the game. I'm not sure what releases they had to sign, but they were there and they were about ready to witness a shit show. That's for sure. So Angie K, question number 1. Who apologizes first? So they all go around the table. Second question, she gets right into it. What's your favorite sexual position? And that was kind of funny. That definitely broke the ice. That was definitely funny. Some people were a little shy, didn't want to answer it. I'm talking to you, Lisa Barlow and Meredith, how they were shy about it. I don't answer all of them. John Barlow adding the extra little details there, and so did Whitney. We were like, Whitney, nice to get to know a lot of you right there. But that was really funny, and that was a good icebreaker. Then you go over third question, who do you hate here most at the table? And of course, Whitney. Lisa's will not miss an opportunity to go after Whitney and redirect all frustrations at Whitney. Which is fine, you can. Whitney deserves a hit every now and again, but it's just kind of funny. Like, she does not miss a chance to go after Whitney. So that was pretty funny. So they play their game and then they clear up. And then Angie K, it's like, well, let's talk about something else, because some people, it was getting a little heated in certain moments. So Angie K's like, well, let's move this topic along to something else. So let's shift it to, Todd, you're being the more fun one in the room. And of course you see Todd just sitting over there, like arms crossed, frown on his face, snarl. And she said, I heard Angie K trying to lighten the mood a bit. I heard that Gwen, Bronwyn's daughter, was maybe going to reconnect with her unknown grandparents. Bronwyn's daughter's father, from the story that we have been told, him and the family really didn't want anything to do with the pregnancy when Bronwyn was very, very young. I think she said she was 19 when she got pregnant, and she was going to have it on her own. He shortly passed after Gwen was born. I think they said she was under 2, around 2, somewhere around there. So she's never known her father, but his family still is not far away. They live relatively close by, and they have never had a relationship with her. And this whole weird by chance interaction with Lisa and Bronwyn, come to discover Lisa's really good friends with the grandparents of Gwen. So there's this merge of their spheres, and now the grandparents know that she's here, and Gwen, they've reached out to each other. So, but Gwen shut it down. So Angie K unknowingly was like, oh, that Gwen wasn't going to do that. Unknowingly said, I heard that Gwen is having this, maybe this reconnection with her grandparent. And Todd was like, we are not going there. And his reaction was so sharp and so harsh, it kind of, jolted everybody a bit. It was a little bit shocking for everybody at the table. And Bronwyn was trying to, soften kind of that blow that Todd put out, saying, well, it's complicated, and poor Lisa didn't even know she was walking into this minefield when we were having this conversation, that she was connected to this family, not knowing that that was the grandparents of my daughter and this and that. And, she was just really trying to soften it. And you could tell that Angie K really had no idea that she just walked into a grenade. Like literally just walked right into it. She had no idea. You could tell her reaction, like, shh, oh God. Like she was trying to backpedal. You could see her by her reaction. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And Angie has a daughter as well, just a little bit younger than what Bronwyn's daughter is. So I think she's definitely sensitive enough to that. She would never want to bring anything so, so delicate of a matter and such a personal matter out in the public attention if there was no permission. But, Bronwyn was trying to soften the blow. And you could even see in Bronwyn's confessional, and she's like, and at this trip, I was concerned that my friend might embarrass me. But in this moment right now, it's my husband, Todd, that's really embarrassing me with his reactions. And you heard her say through the last episode when there was that whole fight and he immediately charged out to John and was like, you either need to shape up or ship out, essentially. And just like a grandpa would, right? And and Bronwyn even said, sometimes I wish he would handle things with a Nerf gun, and he handles things with a machete. And even though he can be an asshole, he's my knight in shining asshole, which was kind of funny. But you could definitely see the power play. And I said it then. I said it reminds me very Girardi-esque, with the whole situation and the dynamic and the relationship between Tom Girardi and Erica Girardi and Eric Jane. And I didn't like that power dynamic. I didn't like the control. I didn't like that. And I get that same feeling in this relationship. Now, who am I to judge how the relationship works? She obviously very much loves Todd because she released a statement afterwards after this episode, because you see it a little bit more. And with Todd's reaction being so harsh, and you can see Bronwyn trying to, soften it up and trying to be like, well, even Meredith, who I think was very PC, very politically correct in this moment. She's like, look, I do not know anything about the relationship between Todd and Bronwyn, but it does seem like there's some underlying tension. And I don't know, but I can feel a heaviness in the air, kind of, I'm putting my own words in it, but that's kind of what I felt like she was saying. And yeah, I think everyone at that table couldn't deny that was awkward, and it made them feel uncomfortable. You could see everybody there feeling uncomfortable because Bronwyn was trying to it's okay. And he would, nope, we're not going there. Shut it down. And no more in the discussion. Boom, done. And it was uncomfortable. It was rude. You could see the other guests that were not a part of the cast were a little shocked by his reaction as well. It was harsh. Now I understand he doesn't want to go there. And he even said in his confessional, that is something that is so personal to Bronwyn and to Gwen. It is not fair to talk about it in the public, in the public eye. It's not fair to Gwen. Let them handle it, and then they can choose to do with that information and that decision what they want to. Fair enough. Interesting. And then the one person behind the camera was like, well, would you ever do this again, Todd? And he's like, no, I'd never do it again. And, as we see in this episode, you see a little bit more into the relationship between Bronwyn and Todd. So then we have the dinner that gets awkward, and then somebody says, "What?" I think it was Lisa Barlow, like, "Why don't we wrap this up and move it in?" And then they ended up having a lovely time, and then end the scene. We get up the next morning, and we're going to the racetrack to Thermal. Now, interesting. It looks very nice. It looks like they had a very, as she said, VVIP experience, and it did. It looked very nice. You don't see too much there. It was just so loud. I think sound quality, you can get a lot out of it. So you just see him have a good time, and there we go. After that, well, I know that Bronwyn and Lisa, they were trying to resolve some of their issues at Thermal, but they had to kind of push that off to a little bit later because you just couldn't hear each other through all that sound from the racetrack. So then they leave Thermal, the racetrack, and then they go back to this stunning property, and they're trying to talk it out. And Bronwyn's just explaining to her, I'm really having a hard time coming to the fact that you're just kind of too flippant with your loyalty with me. We've been friends for a long time, and I understand you're friends with Heather, but this is, we've been friends longer, and I'm just a little hurt by the fact that you can't say in the moment to Heather that this is not how I view Bronwyn. I don't know that side of Bronwyn, so please don't say that about my friend, and I'm still her friend, so no matter what, here I am. Stand up for me and be loyal to me. And, Lisa's trying to explain her side, but then Lisa says in a confessional, it's hard for me to say that because I don't really feel that way. I do feel like you have been two-faced and playing both sides of the fence and being a little shady. So me to say that I 100% trust you and want to stick up for you and put my neck on the line for you and be loyal to you, I'm kind of having a hard time meeting you there because I don't 100% feel that way. Fair enough, Lisa. But even John Barlow was like, Lisa can't do anything right. You know, she can't say anything right. She can't act it like she can't do anything right, or somebody's going to say something and come for Lisa. So it's been a little interesting. And then Sean, Angie K's husband, gets into it. The husbands are getting into it a lot this season on Salt Lake City. And I keep saying that never, ever, ever, ever ends up well. And you can see them trying to take a step back, like, okay, we've done too much. We gotta take a step back here. And they try. Oh, they try. But I think it's hard for them at this point, you know, but now they're trying to backpedal a little bit and trying to, because it just never goes well with them. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a thought, and you put it out there, they're going to come for you. So Salt Lake City, I mean, you have really, really been bringing it. Now, let me get one other thing about Salt Lake City. You didn't see Heather Gay at all this episode. Not once, which is, I found that a little shady and a little interesting. Not one part of Heather Gay, but you did go over to Mary and Mary's son and his wife, and her talking about her concern with her son and what's going on. That was an unusual scene and a little uncomfortable on my end to watch that. So you're going to hear a little bit more coming out later in the season, what's going on with Mary and her son. I really feel for Mary. You can see her. She's like, if I just need to scream to know how much I love him, I will. I'll do anything it takes. My heart broke for you in that moment here, Mary. It really did. You can see like she's almost desperate, in my opinion, to want to help, as any parent would be when you see your kids struggling. I thought that was a very raw moment and a sincere moment from Mary, because sometimes you get a little bit of the, you know, the over the topness when it comes to Mary. But I thought that was something that's really truthful and just very raw. And Mary, I really felt for you in that moment. So you'll hear a little bit more about that. But Salt Lake City, you have been great. Bravo. Good for you. Let's get ready for the holidays. So, you know, let's get into the holiday season. I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe holiday. If you're traveling, please be safe. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. And thank you so much for being with us today on PoliWine. Please reach out to us on Instagram, PoliWine Time. And please watch or listen wherever you get your podcast feed. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.